Yo, what's good? It's your man, 100 Grand, Ross with The Rock Never Stops. The Detroit Pistons beat the Washington Wizards. And I want to dive into that. I want to dive into the good, the bad, and the hopeful. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button for me, subscribe, and the bell for notifications. I guess it's easiest to start off with the good, right? Jaden Ivey, 24, 7, and 6 with 3 blocks. Jalen Duren almost had a 20 and 20 game. 2019, 4 and 1. Isaiah Stewart showed up. Alec Burks and Asar Thompson off the bench were huge. And Marcus Sasser as well. This team looked really hopeful. Hopeful. I don't want to say good. But there were moments. There were flashes. But I think a big part of it is also the ineptness of the Washington Wizards. I mean, talk about a shit show. The Washington Wizards are a shit show. Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, if those are your best 2 scorers on your team, you're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. And they showed why. Kyle Kuzma getting tossed out with about 4 minutes to go was like one of the complete, a-hole moves that a leader on a team could do. Even if you're having a bad game, you're in the game, your team's fighting, and they need you. And they need you in that moment to be composed enough to stay in the game. And not only do you get 1 technical, but you get 2 back-to-back, almost as if you wanted to get thrown out. But that's the Washington Wizards, and I digress because that's not who I want to focus on. The Detroit Pistons pulled this game out. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think I've said this over and over. You guys already know where I'm going with this. Jaden Ivey, 5 turnovers to only 6 assists. It was a +3 at the end of the game. He almost gave the game away at the end. For every positive thing that he probably did early in the first half in terms of scoring and some assists here and there, he did the equal amount of damage in his turnovers. And I mean just really bad turnovers. And it's kind of what we've become used to. There's this thing that I've kind of bought into, is that at this level of basketball, you don't try to turn somebody into what they're not. You help them to become the best version of who they are. And Jaden Ivey is a shooting guard. He's an off guard. He's a combo guard. He is not a point guard. He is not a primary facilitator. And I think we saw that when he was on the attack, when he was in that shot package that Monty Williams had been talking about. He looked good. He was setting up Duren. He was getting to the rim. He even had a little pull-up. He was looking under control. And then it seemed like he got to a point where he forgot himself and began to operate outside of his wheelhouse, his skill set. And he just became a wreck. And I think Monty Williams figured this out. He's learning this about Jaden Ivey because in the second half, when he was about to do it again, he had a couple of bad turnovers, getting the shot blocked. Then he called timeout. And I thought it was perfect timing. I think it was wise to keep Alec Burks in there and allow him to run a little bit of point. But he was able to stop the bleeding. Now, I want to say this is a part of the good because Monty Williams is learning and growing along with the team. He's learning his players, he's learning his guys, and he's learning how to structure what's best around them. And look, as much as we might look in from the outside and say that he needs to do this, he needs to do that, he's probably doing a million other things focused on 10 times more than what we're ever thinking about. And we're just seeing the things that he hasn't gotten to yet. That's the hopeful, optimistic side of me. But one thing that I did notice that I've been pleading for is to make sure Asar Thompson is in the closing lineup. And this was a part of the good. Asar Thompson defensively was able to wreak havoc. His 2 steals down the stretch in the fourth quarter pretty much sealed the game. And his 2 buckets right after. It was the steal and the open dunk, and then the attack from the corner, and a little fading jump shot from about 8 feet out. Right, he got to the rim. He made a good decision. He was strong with the ball. But most importantly, he was able to get his team easy looks, easy baskets, which they need down the stretch. And this is something that I've talked about a lot, is that defense lends to offense. It leads to offense. And many times your defense can be your best offense because it means you don't have to set up. It means you don't have to run a particular play. You don't have to rely upon unreliable ball handlers to direct traffic, especially when the defense is really locked in down the stretch of games. So Asar Thompson was definitely a major plus. Marcus Sasser as well. But, something I'm noticing from Marcus Sasser, and I'm not sure where this switch happened. It's probably around the same time that Asar Thompson went to the bench. But all of a sudden, he stopped being as aggressive offensively. And he's not shooting threes. He's not shooting threes with the defender going underneath that screen, that on-ball screen, that kind of classic, if your defender does this, it's almost disrespectful, as if they don't think you can shoot. And for some reason, he's not taking the shot. And I don't know if this is something that the head coach, Monty Williams, is telling him to do, but I don't like it. Marcus Sasser is a bucket. And when you have a bucket, you tell him, these are the shots we want you to take. And taking that shot is one that he should be taking. Now, granted, his assist to turnover ratio has been great. He's been getting the team involved and running the show, and I think it looks beautiful. They might even be auditioning him to take Killian Hayes' place if there's a trade coming up, which I wouldn't be shocked because, as I said in my last video, I think that there's another move to be made. But it's to say that I want to see him shooting more, especially from the three-point line. He needs to be an aggressive shooter because he's one of the better shooters on this team. But with that said, I don't want to leave out Jalen Duren, but it's interesting. It's interesting because many times I look at Duren, and he looks like he's still playing off of talent a lot, instead of necessarily knowing where to be all the time, or not all the time, but consistently. And so as a result, he's not necessarily anywhere near his peak. He's nowhere near. I can imagine what he's going to be 2-3 years from now. If he remains healthy, he's going to be absolutely dominant. Absolutely dominant. He's extremely skilled. And his size, athleticism, you just can't teach. And I see him dominating for a long time, definitely an all-star center in this league. But with that said, the bad, I touched on it a little bit, it's the turnovers. You cannot, and it's not just the turnovers, it's turnovers and bad shots from Jaden Ivey. One of the worst things that could happen is the guy who's setting up the offense comes down and either turns it over or takes a bad shot and nobody else touches the ball. And I think that this is where Monty Williams has to teach Jaden Ivey some more, leaning into him being a facilitator, especially with Cade out. Jaden Ivey has to understand what it means to run the show. What it means that everybody's trusting you not just to make big shots. It's not just about scoring when you're running the show. It's about making sure your team gets the best shot. But you have to use your team. You have to trust your team. I mean, you should trust your team because if you're asking them to trust you, being the most turnover-prone person on the team who's still dribbling the ball off his foot, which he did again in this game, which I consistently say you just don't see this anywhere. There is not a single starting point guard in the NBA right now who consistently dribbles the ball off of their foot. That is a red flag. All that's to say is if they can trust you, you should be trusting them. Swing that ball when you bring it up. If you took a bad shot or turned it over, the next couple of plays you need to be setting up other guys, not trying to get yours again. And so this is where I hope that Jaden Ivey grows a bit. Another couple things that I noticed that I want to see, like I said before, Marcus Sasser shooting that 3-ball. And Isaiah Stewart, and this is kind of the hopefulness, is Isaiah Stewart needs to start inside, meaning unless he's wide open and he's shooting a 3 later in the shot clock, he needs to be either attacking the rim or looking to post up. Starting off the game shooting nothing but threes is not his game. That is not his game. Even if he grows into that one day, that's not his game. He is somebody who needs to get some pick and rolls, get some dump offs, maybe attack, a closeout, get to the rim, get an offensive rebound, get some layups, get to the free throw line, and then start shooting threes. Now, I was encouraged that in the second half, Monty Williams drew up a play for him, and he came off of I want to say a screen coming off ball, and on the move took a pull-up jump shot. And I was impressed. It went through. It looked natural. It looked smooth. And so that's encouraging. But I think that part of his game is still another couple seasons down the road. And so as I look forward, hopefully they continue to play Asar Thompson down the stretch. He needs more minutes as the best defender on this team. He is just disruptive. And they have to get more of a transition game if they're going to mitigate some of their inability to consistently take care of the ball in the half court. They've got to get those open opportunities, those easy opportunities where they can use their athleticism in the open court and get those layups. So my big hope and takeaway from this game is just that. Will I expect Alec Burks to have another 30-point game? No. Duran have a 20-20 game again? Probably not. It's kind of the Wizards, so guys are going to look good. But if they can increase their transition game, play some more Asar Thompson, get out there with Jaden Ivey and Asar on that fast break and get those easy layups, I think it's going to really help out this offense. And it's going to allow them to maintain leads, get back into games, and they're going to be far more competitive down the stretch. Now, if I'm honest with you, I don't think that they're going to beat the record for the worst record of all time in terms of wins and losses. They're not going to be the worst team of all time. I think they're going to get past that. They're probably going to get 12, 15 wins by the end of the season. But they need to integrate this part of their game as a team. They've got to get out in transition. They've got to get easy baskets at the rim. And that means they got to create turnovers. And so, Monty Williams, you got your work cut out as always. Applaud you for staying the course and making adjustments, because playing Jaden Ivey these minutes, has been an adjustment because, man, there were times I struggled with that idea too, but he's proven himself as well. I'm looking forward to getting Cade and Bogey back. Want to drop a video soon on why maybe they should try to keep Bogey instead of trading him. But as always, I want to know what you all think. Holla at me in the comments section. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'm going to get at y'all. Peace.